The GL Writeback feature in Velixo Reports enables you to create entries in Acumatica while leveraging the power and flexibility of Excel formulas. This functionality allows you to create transactions such as accruals, month-end allocations, and many other manual transactions such as fringe calculations and inter-entity and multi-currency transactions. The first step in the GL Writeback process is to create a blank GL worksheet. You can do this from any Excel file by clicking on the GL Writeback pull-down and then selecting New Journal Transactions Worksheet. When the sheet opens, you will see that it looks very similar to the Journal Transactions page in Acumatica. At this point, you can enter the required information into the proper cells in the sheet. Any cells left blank will populate with default values just as they would when you enter a transaction manually from your web browser. Below the connection, you can see the transaction date, which will default to the current date and the post period. The middle column here is for defining the branch, ledger, and currency. You can also specify whether or not you would like the batch to be auto-reversing. The default value is no, but you can change it here by clicking on the drop-down menu for the cell. This setting here, which defaults to yes, will open the transaction in your web browser after you import the sheet. If you want the transaction to automatically release when you import, click Yes here. Let's run through an example of how you can use GL Writeback. I would like to allocate this $1,000 insurance expense, shown on the P&L for the products wholesale branch, so it is distributed evenly between all 4 branches. If I drill down here, we can see the account, sub-account, and debit information needed for the journal transaction. For this entry, I will set the transaction date to December 31st, 2018. As you can see, the post period will automatically update. I will add a description and then specify the branch, ledger, and currency. Now I just need to fill in the blanks in the table. I can start with the credit to the products wholesale branch. Since I want to allocate this expense so it is split between all 4 branches evenly, I need to add additional rows with the products wholesale branch and the other 3 branches to the sheet. Since $1,000 divided by 4 works out to $250, I can type $250 in the debit column for each branch. At this point, the transaction is ready for import. It is important to know that you can use formulas and calculations in the cells of the GL Writeback, just like you can in other sheets. Rather than typing in the values here, you may wish to have Excel do the math instead. To do this, I can use a basic calculation to figure out 25% of the expenses in this cell, and then copy it to the other branches. If you want to make this a more dynamic sheet that you can easily use for other financial periods, you can add a formula to populate this expense. Instead of typing in the value, I am going to use the account turnover function to retrieve this value from the GL. Keep in mind that you may need to change the data validation if you try to use a formula, because the debit and credit columns default to number only. After I complete the account turnover function, I can change the date here to another month and you will see the values update. Once you are finished with your transaction, click the GL Writeback pull-down menu again and click on Import Current Worksheet. After a few seconds, we will see the entry in my web browser because I selected Yes for Open after import. The transaction is created on hold, so you can take it off hold and release it if you are ready. Remember that you can change this setting here in the future if you want the transaction to automatically release. If you see an error message when you try to import, like these examples here, it is because the system is telling you to fix an error like incorrect account code, or that the transaction is not balanced. Once you fix the error, you can click on the Import button again to successfully import your transaction to your ERP.